On this Thanksgiving Eve, I thought that we would spend a little time going back looking at the case that prosecutors have put together against Barry Morphew. Now, of course, they whiffed the first time. They whiffed the first time. Are they going to be able to seal the deal this time around? Let's get into it. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to another true crime discussion with me, Gavin Fish. Thank you very much for being here on this channel. We like to cut through the fluff and sensationalism of true crime. If that is your deal, then you found the right place, and I'm glad you did. Hey, where are you guys from? Looks like we got somebody from San Antonio in the house already. You know what I'm going to be asking. I know, of course, Mooney's in the house. That's Virginia. But tell me where it is that you are from. I just really, really love to know where you are in the world. This is a Thanksgiving Eve. Tomorrow here in the States is Thanksgiving, which is a federal holiday where we celebrate the bounty that we receive by being inhabitants of this little section of North America, I guess, being United States citizens. It's a wonderful tradition that has happened now, 400 years, something like that, at least 96,000 years, something like that here in the United States. Here in Le Chateau Fiche, we have Kimberly's folks joining us this time. It's surprisingly a much smaller gathering than what we normally do. Normally, we've got 20 people around the table. This time, there's going to be 8 of us, which is kind of terrific. Love having the in-laws in town. They're coming back for Christmas, which is awesome. And got another uncle, one of Kimberly's brothers, going to join us, which is so awesome. So that's what we're doing. I hope that you guys, wherever you are, if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope it is a terrific one. All right. Let's not belabor this. Let's hop into headlines.
True crime headlines.
Pow! All right, this is the segment of the show where we just dig into some of the headlines in true crime right now. Join me over here on monitor 2, will you? Where we'll hop on to Acrobat, and in the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, we've got a little movement again. This being reported to us by the Los Angeles Times. Headline says LA grand jury hears case of dead girl in David's Tesla. This was written this very day. Hey, by the way, if you want to make a comment and you want me to see it, please put GF in the comment, okay? All right, written by Richard Winton and James Quealy. A Los Angeles County grand jury is hearing evidence related to the death of a teenage girl whose body was discovered stuffed inside the trunk of singer David's Tesla earlier this year. 2 law enforcement, of course unnamed, sources told the Times. The revelation follows the gruesome discovery of the remains of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Where is Celeste? On my little thing of buttons, here is Celeste. In a Hollywood tow yard on September 8th, although the Los Angeles Police Department has publicly declined to characterize the girl's death as a homicide, a recent court filing by an LAPD detective referred to the case as a murder investigation. Now, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has begun presenting evidence to what's known as an investigative grand jury, according to one of the sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the case with the media. Of course they're not. One of the sources said the grand jury was in session for several days in mid-November, but it was unclear whether prosecutors had completed their presentation of the evidence. Prosecutors may convene an investigative grand jury to subpoena witnesses and compel other evidence, including videos. Such investigative panels may recommend charges, but cannot themselves return an indictment. This is an investigative grand jury. They're looking for more info so they can, wow. And I think they can even swear out warrants, I think. Maybe I'm wrong on that. In addition to the two law enforcement sources, a court petition provided to the Times on Monday contained a GJ number referencing the existence of a grand jury. In that document, LAPD Detective Joshua Byers of the Robbery Homicide Division successfully persuaded a judge to bar the LA County medical examiner from divulging autopsy results and other details related to the girl's death that would otherwise be public. It was Byers who characterized the probe into the girl's death as an investigation into murder, according to the document. It was, Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, who handles some of the county's most high profile murder cases, has called several witnesses before the grand jury, according to one of the law enforcement sources. Okay, and this is a nice long story. Check that out at the LA Times. We've got an investigative grand jury convened, according to two sources that the Times is keeping anonymous, looking into the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Okay, let's move on to Anna Kepner. Anna Kepner, of course, was the 18-year-old high school senior on a cruise with her dad, stepmom, and step siblings when she turned up missing, and we've covered her case on the show for sure. She was found later, wrapped in a blanket, stuffed under a bed, covered with, yeah, she was hidden in the place where they keep like the life preservers and stuff like that. So this is breaking news. This comes to us from People. Anna Kepner's dad says stepson, quote, should face the consequences, close quote. All right, this is written, I don't have a writer here, sorry. The father of Anna Kepner is speaking out about his 16-year-old stepson, and I think the stepson, I can't, first initial T, as I remember correctly, who, according to court documents, is in an unrelated custody matter, is possibly under investigation in connection with Anna's death. Christopher Kepner, 41, says he last saw his 18-year-old daughter on the evening of November 6th when the family gathered for dinner aboard the Carnival Horizon. Anna's body was found under a bed the following day by a housekeeper. Christopher tells People, ooh, okay, so a housekeeper was the discoverer of the body. Anna's death, speaking of which, this case, one of the things that has been bothering me about this case is I know that he went looking for her that night. But man, I would want the ship to stop. I guess we don't have those details. But I mean, if my 18-year-old, well, it's a cruise ship, there are things to do. I don't know. I'm waffling. You guys know I'm a professional waffler. Anna's death certificate, which was obtained by People, says she was mechanically asphyxiated by other persons. Soon after the FBI began investigating the case, Christopher's wife, who is Anna's stepmother, said in unrelated court filings that her 16-year-old son may be subject to a criminal investigation. The FBI has not publicly announced blah, blah, blah. While declining to confirm or deny any knowledge about his stepson's possible involvement, Christopher tells People, I do not stand behind what my stepson has done. Ooh. Wow. That's pretty clear. He adds, I want him to face the consequences. I will be fighting to make sure that does happen. Okay, so Christopher at least believes that his stepson, for 16 years old, first initial T, is the culprit responsible for the death of his daughter. When asked, oh, there's more, whether he believes his stepson is responsible for Anna's death, Christopher says, I cannot say that he is responsible, but I can't decline. He was the only one that was in that room, and the FBI has an ongoing investigation in which they will have to provide the evidence to say that he did do it or did not do this. So it sounds like he's trying to walk the line of let the system run its course, right? Kind of the way Josh and Sandy Greenberg are. Let's remember Anna here. He continues, he was a normal kid, echoing similar sentiments shared by Anna's grandparents. And I never I would have never thought that any of this would have happened, he adds. They were just like brother and sister, Barbara, the grandmother, told ABC News, adding that they were two peas in a pod. Oh, so sad. So there's a little bit more that you can read on people.com. Last headline for tonight has to do with the Anna Walsh case. Anna Walsh, of course, was the DC/ Boston based mother of three who went missing on what was January 1st of 2023. Nobody could find her. She didn't show up for work. Work called police. Can't find Anna. Anna is how she pronounces her name. And her husband, Brian Walsh, was charged in her murder. His trial is set to begin on December 1st. We've all covered this. Okay, without a body, the headline states, Brian Walsh murder trial hinges on circumstantial evidence, experts say. You guys know what I feel about circumstantial evidence. It's not a lower quality evidence. It is just evidence based on circumstance. So we're not talking direct evidence. So we don't have a body. Well, there is direct evidence. There's like a rug. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but there's also a lot of circumstantial evidence. This written by Charlie McKenna for MassLive.com. This was a couple days ago. By the time investigators found surveillance video showing Brian Walsh dumping large trash bags into dumpsters on the South Shore in early January 2023, it was too late. The bags, which Walsh has now admitted contained the body parts of his wife, Anna, had been picked up and transferred to the Southeastern Massachusetts Resource Recovery Facility in Rochester, where they were shredded or incinerated on January 8th. Still, investigators traveled to the dumpsters in the hopes of finding viable evidence. It was determined that there was none. An affidavit prepared by former Massachusetts State Police Trooper Michael Proctor reads. Other evidence that investigators collected at a dumpster outside of Brian Walsh's mother's apartment in Swampscott included clothing that belonged to Anna Walsh, her COVID-19 vaccination card, towels with red-brown stains, a hatchet, and hacksaw, according to the prosecution's theory of the case. Anna Walsh's remains have never been found and, it appears, cannot be recovered. Still, her husband is on trial for killing her. It is normally a challenge for prosecutors to prove a murder took place without a body, experts say, but the unique circumstances of the Walsh case may work against his defense. Quote, it's not an issue because Walsh is conceding he disposed of her, which is interesting because why did he do that? Why did he make that concession? Why did he make that plea prior to the trial starting? And that's a question that I asked Josh Ritter from Courtroom Confidential, and he's like, I would not tell my client to do that. But anyway, it's not an issue because Walsh is conceding he disposed of her, said Mark Betterow, a New York City-based defense attorney and former prosecutor. That evidence is going to be admissible as consciousness of guilt, which Josh talked to us a bit about. Had Walsh not pleaded guilty to disinterring the body, disinterring, that's probably an improper use of that word, but okay, his defense could have argued Anna Walsh was simply missing and not dead. But the facts of the case, particularly the Google searches prosecutors say Brian Walsh made in the early morning hours of January 1, 23, made it near impossible not to admit he moved his wife's body. Those searches for terms like 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to, and dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body are a critical part of the government's case against Brian Walsh. So yeah, it is going to be largely circumstantial, though we did just read a list of direct pieces of evidence, her COVID card, clothing and so forth. So I'm looking forward to this trial starting on December 1st. I hope you guys are too. And those are the headlines that I brought for you today. Let's move on. It's True Crime Headlines. All right. Guys, what are we here to talk about? We are here to talk about the Suzanne Morphew case. Suzanne Morphew. Oh my goodness. This case has been going on for so long, and it is a deeply, deeply disturbing case that you and I have gone over in pretty great detail. The the thing about this case that I think makes it unique is just how much prosecutorial misconduct existed the first time they wanted to bring a case against Suzanne Morphew's husband, Barry Morphew. You will remember that basically they had um, violation of the Brady. They were Brady violations over and over and over again. It got to the point even that the prosecutor, the DA in this case, was disbarred. It was that bad. Now, they have brought a new case against Barry Morphew in the death of his wife, Suzanne. I thought what we would do today is do a quick little primer on it. And then I wanted to thank Paula Mooney um, from Plunder True Crime, who has posted. It's a public document that has been available for quite some time, and this is the 92-page exhibits that were part of the original preliminary hearing. And they have, I mean, there's so much in here, guys. I can just blah, 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 blah. There's so much in here. And I wanted to go through it again because I think we're coming close to hearing more news about this case. I think we're getting close to not close to a trial, but I think that we're going to see more movement on the case. So let's just do a quick. This is a little reminder from CBS News. I'm just going to kind of yada yada this a little bit because it's 16 pages. We don't need to go through the whole thing, but just to remind us of the case. Okay, so Suzanne Morphew was mother of two girls. She vanished on Mother's Day of 2020. Police initially thought maybe she was taken by while riding her mountain bike. They also considered her husband as a suspect. Then bizarre clues emerged: a chipmunk alibi, a tranquilizer gun, a spy pen, and an affair. Okay, these two kids were married for 25 years. They had they were well liked. They were popular. Um, Barry was a star baseball player who was drafted by the Blue Jays. I didn't know that. Crazy. The couple who began dating after Barry graduated high school married in '94. Barry started a landscaping business. Suzanne was a school teacher before leaving the job to raise her two daughters. The two daughters, by the way, are kind of sticking with their dad. So early on the morning of May 10th, 2020, Barry left his home just out of Salida, Colorado, or Salida. I don't know how they pronounce it there. Uh, I'm sure it's Salida, but I'm familiar with Salina, Kansas because of an amazing vinyl press company that was there for so long. Vinyl Records. So that's why I did that. Anyway, to drive to a job site 150 miles away in Broomfield. The couple's daughters, who are away on a camping trip and making their way home, text their mother wishing her a happy birthday. She does not respond. Okay? Barry does not go home immediately. Instead, he drops off a shovel and some other tools for his coworkers at a hotel where he booked rooms for them and himself. Of course, this seems to be an alibi creation trip. He didn't need to be there. Um, Suzanne's bike was later found. There were the clothing and stuff kind of nearby within a half a mile. It looked like there was a staged scene. Um, her mountain bike was recovered. They did go, I mean, an extensive search effort. Scuba diver searches local waterways for news of Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. Local and state authorities, along with the FBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation's civilian volunteers, conducted large search efforts across a vast and rugged terrain. To that day, Suzanne's body had not been found. So this was in July. So then the spy pen leads to a shocking discovery, right? So Suzanne Morphew bought this spy pen hoping to be able to catch her husband in the act of an affair, and instead it recorded her affair. Really is what it did. And I don't know. Like, she's the victim in this. She is definitely the victim in this. But that did lead investigators to start understanding, oh, okay, wait a minute. Things are not all well in Zion here. Things are not happy in the Morphew marriage. And that started to get to asking questions and so forth. Um, let's see. Yeah, love affair. Then, okay, sign of a struggle. This was one. Investigators showed Barry Morphew a photo of a damaged door frame, explaining the prior owners said it wasn't there when they sold the house to the Morphews. Barry was asked if that was the result of an argument or him being locked out. He said, I have no idea what that's from. Investigators believe Barry may have damaged the door as he tried to get Suzanne after shooting her with a tranquilizer gun. I'm not showing you the thing as I'm reading it. So, yeah, prosecutors believe that he shot her with a tranquilizer gun. And then the chipmunk alibi talks about just running all over the house, right? Cell phone records appear to show Barry Morphew's phone pinging all around the house on May 9th. When asked about this unusual phone activity, Barry told investigators he was running around the property shooting chipmunks, which Barry says were a constant nuisance. However, investigators believe this unusual fun activity could be Barry chasing Suzanne around the house after shooting her with a tranquilizer gun. The satellite image of the Morphew home shows some of those ping locations from Barry's cell phone. These would not. I think that they're calling them ping locations. These are not cell tower ping locations. I don't think. I mean, cell tower ping locations can give you a direction and a distance. So maybe, but I think it's more likely that it's probably GPS data within the phone. That's just me. Um, yeah, this is the pivotal one that I want to show you guys. Investigators discovered this clear plastic needle cap in the Morphew family's dryer. Prosecutors contend it's an important piece of evidence. They believe that when Barry Morphew arrived home the afternoon of May 9th, he went into the garage, took this cap off a syringe used to load a tranquilizer dart, injected the dart with a chemical, and shot Suzanne, though they failed to find a working tranquilizer gun or tranquilizer chemicals in the couple's home. Barry told investigators he had no idea how the cap got in the dryer. Barry, by the way, is a grade A moron. Why was he talking to police? I'm grateful that he is a grade A moron. Just a total and absolute ID 10T dill hole. You need water. Oh, I've got water. Got water. Everyone relax. Um, but yeah, like he talked to police. Dude, allegedly, you shot and killed your wife. Don't talk to police, but thank you for talking to police. Barry's defense lawyers counter this cap means nothing, because no one could say how long it had been there. Furthermore, they say there was no evidence tying the cap to their client. Yeah, okay. Basically, what they're saying is no fingerprints, stuff like that. But these are part of little pieces of evidence that stack and stack and stack and stack, man. Um, yeah, the text revealing the struggling marriage. There were a whole bunch of texts between Suzanne and some friends, Suzanne and Barry. Um, Yeah, a lot of that. And then, Barry was an avid outdoorsman and hunter. I mean, I guess no shade against anybody who really likes to mount their prey. I've never been into it. They're living in Colorado. They're living in like a log cabin style home. It's a nice place. I just don't get the heads thing. It's just me because I've made really good friends with the Goliath owners, right? Who own a ranch, a hunting preserve out here in Western Pennsylvania, and it's mounts all over the place. I just don't want to walk around where there are animal heads. I don't know. I am just, you know what this is? Do you know what this is? You guys know what this is. Indeed, indeed, it is a tangent. Um, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's got deer mounts all over the place. There were the multiple trash runs, scratch marks, right? Like showing some sort of a struggle. Let me just read that one real quick. Adding to the prosecution theory that there was a physical altercation leading up to Suzanne Morphew's murder are these apparent scratch marks on Barry Morphew's arm in a photo taken by investigators 3 days after Suzanne went missing. Yeah, the girls are standing by their dad. Barry Morphew pleaded not guilty to all charges, and on September 20th, 2021, he was released from jail on bond with his daughters by his side. They steadfastly support his father, attending most of his court hearings. There's always seems to be at least one of them. New twist, mystery DNA. Investigators discovered mysterious male DNA in this Range Rover belonging to Suzanne Morphew. In October 2020, DNA testing revealed at least a partial match to an unnamed man connected to 3 unsolved SA cases in Tempe, Phoenix, and Chi-Town. Barry Morphew's legal team says it intends to file a civil lawsuit claiming prosecutors withheld more specific exculpatory DNA evidence until after Barry's preliminary hearing, which decided the case against Barry is strong enough to go to trial, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, then the charges were dismissed, right? Suzanne Morphew's remains were found in 2023, and he was charged again. So, I mean, that is just the very, very... I mean, we're not really going into much detail. Let's see what you guys are saying before I run on over. Let's bring up Suzanne's photo again. Couple things. Yeah, I haven't checked in with you guys. What do we got? We got Xenia, Ohio. We've got Houston. We got South Lake Tahoe in the house. Massachusetts, Montana, Florida, North Carolina, Manitoba, Canada, our friendly neighbors to the north. The Bean and I says, as all great Americans, we also overeat on Thanksgiving. That is true. That is true. Arlington, Washington. Welcome, welcome. Who else have we got? I Am Goddess 1950, Erie, PA, professional lurker. Glad you're here. We've got Lyons, Illinois. Got everybody. Sharky Sharona says, Gavin, Law and Crime said investigative grand jury can subpoena individuals. Yeah, what case was it where we had an investigative grand jury that we went? Was that in the Kevin Mullins case? Was it connected to the Kevin Mullins case? I'm trying to remember where I read. No, it was Kirby Carpenter. It was Kirby Carpenter. Do you guys remember? Where's Kirby? I don't have a button for Kirby. Dang it, Gavin. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I do. There's Kirby. Okay. In the Kirby Carpenter case, they had an investigative grand jury that was asking questions. I think. Now I'm second guessing myself. But anyway, yeah, they can subpoena people. I think they can even issue warrants. I really believe that is true. Yeah, Anna's death was so preventable. For sure. Patty Olson says, Gavin, cruise ships have an alert that goes off if someone goes overboard. If the father was looking for Anna Kay, they wouldn't stop the ship. Okay. Yeah, they're a business. Can't do that. Scotch Mom saying, I think it's going to be a no-brainer for the jury. Of course, you're talking about the Anna Walsh case, right? I think it's going to be pretty easy as well. Eastern Kentucky in the house. And Whiteville, North Carolina. The Bean and I used to live in Salina, Kansas. Yeah. Oh, the Bean and I is Robin? Robin, what has YouTube done with all these, with the names? What have they done? I don't like it. Salina it is kind of an epicenter for those of us who really are into high-end audio. Salina is a beautiful spot with an historic vinyl press that I think is now out of business, but it was one of the last ones and it was awesome. It might still be in business. I shouldn't say that if I don't know. Hey, Dom's mom, member for 14 months. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, Gavin, and to all my fellow fishies on this side of the pond. Thank you very much. Matthew W0407. The only reason someone would want to talk to the police is to prove their innocence. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm going to add to your comment. Okay, the police are in the business of being skeptical and suspicious. They're in the suspicion business, and many criminals it's a well-known tactic where criminals will give up little pieces of information just to find out what the police might know. So they will go into those interviews for the purpose of getting information themselves. I think, in my opinion, there should never be a time when you speak to the police without a lawyer present. Period. Period. I mean, I'm friends with local sheriffs. Like I was chewing the cud with a sheriff yesterday. I went to the courthouse to grab some documents, and there I was hanging out with my buddy. You know, the sheriff. He's a good guy. I like him a lot. Um, Even that I think is kind of like maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Talking about our kids and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, don't ever talk to the police without a lawyer. Just don't ever do that. And I'm sure that that's what Barry was doing. He's trying to find out what it is they knew, giving them bogus answers about chipmunks and and BAM tranquilizer and stuff like that. Let's I just wanted to show you couple things. Couple things. Yeah, Heather's saying YouTube made it harder for mods and chats. Yeah. Name changes drive me nuts. Robin. Them's the facts. Yeah, I wish YouTube wouldn't do that stuff. Okay, let's head on over here and I just want to do a quick little skim through this. The actual thing that I found most, I guess, interesting in all of this is this gun, which I believe is probably the tranquilizer gun. It's got a very short barrel. It's got a scope on it, and it's sawn off or sawn off. I don't know how to exactly say that, but just I don't know, it just feels weird. Was it that he was trying to hide it by breaking it down or something like that? I don't remember that detail, but I can't imagine that they would have this image if it weren't the tranquilizer dart gun. It's a bolt action gun of some sort, but maybe I'm wrong. And if you guys know, if you guys remember this from back in 2021, I would love to hear it. Pictures of Suzanne's bike. Looks like he's pointing to something on the seat, a smudge of some sort, looks like. Yeah, the bicycle. This is an image of him driving his truck. Another one. They had lots of images of him. I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly. Here are the scratches. Might be able to get in a little closer on those. Right? I mean, those are definitely scratches. He has them on his hand too. Guys, here, listen. If you have an unhappy marriage, couple things. You can leave. You can do that. And now I know that it's easier said than done. I get it. And this isn't my judgy face. This is just my giving advice face. Especially if there's infidelity, if there's abuse, you can leave. Now I know that things get complicated in the legal world and everything like that. But a argument over an unhappy marriage does not need to end this way, man. And that is just one of the tragedies of this. Is that somebody gets to the point where they're like, yeah, I think these people were together since high school, man. Since high school. They have children together. Oh my goodness. And it ends in the brutal murder. And it always is going to be the one that is physically weaker Not always, but generally, like the vast majority of times, right? And so I worry about anybody who's in an unhappy and abusive relationship, who is the female, who is the woman, man. Like, you got to get out of there. And if there's ever any indication that your partner, your husband, your boyfriend, whomever has any violent tendencies, man, just believe them. Just okay. Look, this is turning into an Uncle Gavin rant. Here's the thing. Um, if somebody is violent, if they show any violence toward you or anybody, get out now. He will not change. Human nature does not change. Now, each one of us can change little things about ourselves. We can, I believe in growth. I believe in personal growth. But the main tenets of human nature never change. And one of those tenets is whether or not that person is a violent person. If they're violent, you got to get out, man. You just got to get out. Um, I worry about so many of you for this kind of thing. But yeah, scratches on his hands, things that were burnt in the fireplace. Oh my goodness. Courage to change. Yeah, this is the broken door jamb. I mean, and that's what one would look like if it were broken trying to get in during a fight or something. His wallet, her wallet and purse. I think this must be inside his truck. That looks like a Ford F-250. Looks like a King Ranch or a Lariat. What is it? King Ranch. I called it. Here's some of the tranquilizer syringe caps where it was found in the dryer. Yeah, those are darts right there. Those are darts. How many deer can one person kill in a lifetime? That's my question. And I'm not anti-hunting. I hunt. I just don't get the mounting thing. I just don't get it. I am not part of this community. I'm reminded of the Far Side by Gary Larson. He did a lot of jokes about animal mounts. Yeah, there is the pen that recorded those conversations. Um, yeah, this is her Range Rover. Yeah, just so much. I don't know if you guys want me to make this available to you. I can put it on the website. But yeah, I think the case is strong against Barry Morphew. Let's see if you guys have anything that you want to bring up to me before we move on. Autumn says sawed off, not sawn off. But is it quarter sawed wood or is it quarter sawn wood? I don't know. Maybe this is a case where it's both of them. Matthew says, I couldn't agree more, but he had an alibi and Suzanne's lover killed her. That's what Barry wants everyone to think. Yeah. Yeah, I had forgotten about this, Deanna. Morphew did have a friend hide a gun, and that guy got charges over it. I'd totally forgotten that one. Mooney says Barry had a history of side pieces. Yep, that was true. Robin, side tangent. Do you remember the Cozy Inn in Salina? It's still in business. My dad worked at the Salina Journal. Huh. I don't remember the Cozy Inn. I've only been to Salina a couple times. Um, but it's not ringing a bell. But that's pretty cool. Is that where you're from or where you lived for a while? That's pretty cool. I like little places, discovering new places here in the States. It's a lot of fun. All right, guys, let's wrap this up, shall we? With 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Pow! All right, guys, in this segment, I allow you to send me questions that I will answer. And I do it at the end of the show just because it's kind of fun. You guys like to ask questions about me, things that I normally wouldn't really talk about all that much, and I think it's kind of fun. But before we get into three questions, I have a question for you, and that question is and I want you to put this in the live chat, okay? While I'm going through my questions, and then we will get to your answers. What is one Thanksgiving tradition you secretly wish your family would just retire? And then what is one that you'd never want to lose? Put your answer in the live chat. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. All right, first question for me is favorite song. Guys, asking me my favorite song, it's too hard. That is too hard. What I could say that I can't even answer who my favorite band is. There's just no way. Um, Favorite song, favorite album. I can tell you maybe my top 5 favorite albums. But let me just give you a look-see into, like, in my Amazon Music. If I go into my likes, um you can tell that I'm a child that spent most of my childhood in the 80s and 90s. I've got Roxette, I've got Sinead O'Connor, I've got Alphaville, I've got Ace of Base, I've got Prince, I've got the Cars, Marshall Tucker Band, Bellamy Brothers, Elton John, Doobies, 10C, Gypsy Kings. Oh, now because I lived in South America, um, I did dip my toe into and then fell into the deep waters of Latin music. I will tell you one of my very favorite songs of all time, one that is a go-to song all the time, is La Rumba de Nicolás by the Gypsy Kings. If you don't know the Gypsy Kings, they are they're really a Romani band that do flamenco music, and they rule. And La Rumba de Nicolás is one of my favorites. One of my favorite songs is Pies Descalzos by Shakira. That one was recorded back in like 95, 96. Really good one. Maná Vivir Sin Aire. I love Paul Simon. I love Joe Walsh. I love the Eagles. I love the Wilburys. Yeah. So I can't help you. I can't help you with my favorite song. I just got too many. But I do tend to go back to the music of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and especially when it comes to Latin music, it's all from the 90s. Donato y Stefano, stuff like that. All right, second question. If you had to stop covering true crime, do you think it would bring you peace or feel like abandoning the stories that need told? Wow, what a really good question. That's a terrific question. Um, Okay, if I had to stop covering true crime, do you think it would bring you peace? I don't think I don't feel what is the opposite of peace? Consternation? I don't feel unrest because I am in the world of true crime. I don't at all. I feel mentally challenged. Like I feel, especially if a family brings me a case that they want me to look at, and I feel like it's challenged, like it's a puzzle that needs solved, and I love that. I never stop feeling peace in my life because of true crime. So the first part of the question is just kind of untrue for me. But would it feel like I'm abandoning the stories that need told? I don't know. Um, you know, I started down this little true crime rabbit hole just as a way to, because I didn't have a better idea on what to do. I wanted to do YouTube, and my friend Rick said, "Let's do true crime," and I went, "Okay." Now I got hooked pretty darn early. Um, but there is sort of a sense of abandonment. For example, now that I say that out loud, there is sort of a sense of abandonment when, like like I haven't talked to Amanda Winkowski's mom in a couple of months. and I'm kind of feeling like that sucks, Gavin. You need to reach out. Um, I haven't talked to the Elmquists in a while. Now we're connected on Facebook and stuff like that, and so we interact that way. But there is a little bit of a sense of abandonment on that should drive me to be a better friend. Really, if I had to stop covering true crime, I don't know. I mean, I love it, so I probably won't. But if I had to, yeah, I'd probably feel a little bit of abandonment, a little bit. More so with the cases where I do the deep dives, less so with like the live stream kind of stuff. But good question. That's a very good question. You guys are, by the way, email your questions, 3questions at gavinfish.com. Everything's on the table. Go for it. Last question for me before we get to our question for you. After covering so much true crime, do you ever start to feel like justice is the exception instead of the rule? Um, well, I'm very cynical about this. I'm very cynical about justice because I just don't think for most of these crimes there's justice in this world at all. I just don't think it exists. I think that I think we have to be punitive on certain crimes, like murder, like SA, like the kind of case with Suzanne Morphew or Madeline Soto, right? We we have to punish the people who do these things, and we have to get them out of society. Now, that's not for all crimes. There are some crimes where there are societal issues that drive people to commit those crimes that need fixing. And so I don't think that we need to be punitive on everything. In fact, I was in a court hearing yesterday where it was an arraignment hearing in Central Court, and so I think I was the only non-party. There were, in that courtroom for the arraignments that morning. Um, and just in open court without the judge coming in, there were, the lawyers talking about different things. The one was a DUI case, and one of the defense attorneys said, this is his first offense. This is my client's first offense. How about we just call it a $300 crime? And the DA was like, no, I'm not going to do that because he really needs to learn a lesson here. And that was a good kind of glimpse into the world of that DA's office going, we need to help people out of doing stupid crap. Right. So, but in general, getting back to your question, there's just no justice in the world. We just can do our best. So, yeah, is justice the exception? Yeah, it is the glaring, obvious neon signs pointing at an exception. There is no justice. You go talk to the family of a murder victim and ask them if they feel after their loved one's perpetrator is convicted and sentenced. Ask them if they feel justice. I I do ask those questions of those people. Um, I've asked that question probably a dozen times over the time I've been working as a reporter and working here on YouTube, probably a dozen times. The answer is never just yes. It's always, well, we're glad that he's off the street. We're glad that nobody else will be a victim. We're finding that silver lining, but do they ever feel justice? They do not. They do not. That's and it's because they can't. They can't. Let's go up to the question that I had for you. What is one Thanksgiving tradition you secretly wish your family would retire, and one you would never want to lose? Let's see if you guys have answered any of this. Oh, well, there are other things. The Bean and I, let me get this. So, Robin, I'm from Marion, Indiana, moved to Salina, then Walnut Creek, California. That's right, Walnut Creek, then Quincy, back to Indianapolis, then Cottage Grove, Minnesota, Kirkwick, Missouri, and Cottage Grove, Minnesota. You've been all over the place. Been all over the place. All right. Are you guys answering my question? That's what I want to know. Let's see. Scotch Mom, cranberry sauce. That cranberry sauce, is that a tradition you wish you would retire? I love cranberry sauce. Now, I'm not a big fan of the cranberry jelly you get in a can, but I do love cranberry sauce. Um, let's see. Rocker says, love Gypsy Kings. Reminds me of my childhood. They are the best. Yes. Okay. Peppermint says, retire from Thanksgiving equals scrolling or texting and scrolling the entire day and arguing. Yeah, you should retire that one. That one you should retire. Keep the mashed taters. That is a great, yes. That is it. That is a good one. Uh, on the ground, '09 says, I'm Spanish. They're super famous indeed. Oh, they're the best. Gypsy Kings, creme de la creme, man. Um, let's see. River Rose 102 says, me cooking all of the Thanksgiving dinner, but would miss it. Everyone goes their separate ways now and not like it used to. I still cook anyway. Yeah, we're starting to do that in our family where, our oldest daughter and our son-in-law are not joining us for Thanksgiving, which is simultaneously sad and also just, I guess, I also feel pride for them making their own way, cutting their own path, and being their own family, which is pretty terrific. So, yeah. Um, in our household, Kimberly gets up early and she does cook quite a bit, but because she's really not a fan of the meaty stuff, she's vegetarian. I am typically the bird cooker, the ham cooker, and but it becomes a family affair in the kitchen. And we have a real blessing in this house that we have for the first time in our lives a big kitchen that many people can be in working, which is pretty cool. So, so yeah, we do that all together. But yeah, you'd probably miss it. But you want people to help, don't you, River Rose? Let's see. Let's see. My stepdad does fried turkey. I've never done fried turkey. I bet it's delicious. Tina May says, for my mom's last Thanksgiving, she asked us to deep fry the turkey because she'd never had it. She talked about that turkey till the day she died. So worth it. What a great thing to share. Thank you very much, Tina May. Uh, let's see. Robin says to retire washing dishes to keep mom's cookies. Hey, let me give you a what we do in our household around dishes. Okay, this started in this household, or in this house, right? Because this house it was kind of built as an entertainment house. The dining room is big. The dining table. I mean, our dining table seats. I mean, we've had 25 people in our dining room. That's pretty crowded, but 18. So it's really kind of designed. I should post a picture of our dining room table in the tank. But so we often have large gatherings, probably once a month. We'll have 16, 18, 20 people having dinner at our place. And we let all the guests go before we do the dishes. And we have a soundtrack. We put it up on the Sonos and everybody just it's a 1950s doo-wop. It starts with Shaboom and we just go through doo-wop songs and it's fun and everybody has a job. We all just kind of look around at what job isn't being done and we do it. And so that's what we do on Thanksgiving too. Once we're done and we're satisfied, no rush, right? We got all the time in the world, but then we get everything put away into the refrigerator, stick on the 50s music, the doo-wop stuff, and then we all just attack the dishes and it works out really, really well. So that's what we do. Mooney says she loves all of their traditions, so she wouldn't change a thing. Tina May says, retire the eating early and making it a phone-free day. We started that when my kids got around to teenage age. That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Holy cow, we've got a world traveler here. Mel, I didn't grab the first part of your conversation, but you've lived all over the place. Let's see. From the Azores, Portugal, to Winnipeg, Manitoba, then to Brandon, Manitoba, Yorkton, Saskatchewan, then Regina, Saskatchewan, then Victoria, British Columbia. My wife and I visited Portugal, not the Azores, but we visited Portugal for the first time this past year, past June. We loved it. Thought it was great. Peppermint, are your children permitted to be on their phone at the dinner table? How do you handle the overuse of devices? We just don't bring our devices. And you know what? Actually, even if we have our devices in there, my crew is a riot. We are funny people and we enjoy one another and we love one another. And so we don't really, have our noses to our devices when we're gathered for dinner. There's usually good conversation around the table. Usually the food is very good. So we haven't really had that problem. We did have it when the kids were first getting their phones, right? When they were young teenagers, but now, no, we don't worry about it. For the littles who have tablets, we just don't bring in your tablet. Don't bring that into the dining room. Mooney says, growing up, we used to have girls' night and boys' night for dishes. Somehow every holiday was girls' night. That's so funny. In my house growing up, my parents would say, who's going to do the dishes? If you volunteered, you usually got off easy. If you volunteered someone else, then it was your entire job. Pretty funny. All right. Yep. So looks like you guys have answered all the questions. Man, guys, we perfect timing because now it is time. It's time. It's time to call it. Thank you very much for playing 3 Questions with Gavin
It's 3
Fish.
questions with Gavin Fish.
Pow! All right. That is the end of the show. We're not doing a show tomorrow in commemoration of Turkey Day. Thank you very much for understanding that. We will be back on Friday. I think we might get into a little Anna Kepner. I'm not quite sure. But there's been some other stuff coming out in the Anna Kepner case. That probably will be Friday. Maybe not. I'm not going to commit to it. But we'll definitely be back Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Remember that starting the following Monday, we're going to be doing our live stream at 6 p.m. Eastern time instead of 7:30, so an hour and a half earlier. It's going to start on Monday. Remember that you can always visit me on my website, gavinfish.com, where there's true crime articles, there's blog posts, there's case files, and you can reach me by clicking this little icon up here, and that is the best way to get a hold of me. Of course, send in your questions, 3questions at gavinfish.com. And then if you click this little thingy right here, this little fishy icon, that will take you over to the fish tank where I think we're getting close to actually having 5,800 members. What are we at? 5795. And we talk about all things true crime. You are cordially invited always to join us on the tank. And I think, one last one. Let's get this in. One last one. My family does a grabbing and a game with a ball made with saran wrap that has money, gift cards, and lottery scratch off in it. Wow, what a fun tradition. I hope you guys keep that around. Don't retire that one. That's a good one. All right, with that, guys, I bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.